the forgotten Muslim genius who changed math forever, Abū Ja'far al-Khāzin. What if I told you that one Muslim scholar from the 10th century cracked equations no one else could solve, built instruments that mapped the heavens, and wrote books that shaped science for centuries? Yet he stayed humble, saying knowledge is only valuable when it brings you closer to Allah. This is the shocking real story of Abū Ja'far al-Khāzin, a genius of the Islamic Golden Age whose brilliance you probably never learned about. Stay with me for the next minute, because his journey will inspire you more than any modern success story, and it might just change how you view your own potential. Abū Ja'far al-Khāzin, who lived in the 10th century and passed away around the year 971, was one of the brilliant Muslim minds of the Islamic Golden Age, a period when knowledge shined like a rising sun over Khurasan and beyond, and his story begins in the lively city of Nishapur, where Islamic scholarship thrived under the support of wise rulers and generous patrons who understood that the pursuit of knowledge was a form of worship. Abū Ja'far grew up in a home where love for the Quran, mathematics, and astronomy blended beautifully, and from an early age, he felt drawn toward the mysteries of Allah's creation, looking at the sky at night and wondering how the stars moved in such precise paths, how the moon changed shape, and how time flowed with such balanced harmony. His father, a man respected for his piety and learning, noticed the spark in his son's eyes and taught him to read, write, calculate, and appreciate the discipline of structured thinking, reminding him often that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said seeking knowledge is a duty for every Muslim. With time, Abū Ja'far became known for his careful mind, strong memory, and ability to solve mathematical problems that left others scratching their heads, and soon scholars in Nishapur recognized that the boy had a special gift Allah had placed in his heart. When he reached adulthood, he moved deeper into the circles of learned men, sitting in the gatherings of mathematicians, astronomers, jurists, and philosophers, learning from each one with humility, and always praying that Allah would guide his path. His teachers admired not only his understanding, but also his character, for he never boasted, always shared knowledge freely, and believed that the purpose of learning was not to gain fame, but to serve the Ummah and glorify Allah by exploring the wonders he created. As Abū Ja'far matured, he became particularly fascinated by geometry and algebra, fields that Muslim scholars had inherited from earlier civilizations, but had elevated to new heights through discipline, creativity, and devotion. He immersed himself in the works of great thinkers like al-Khwarizmi and the scholars of Baghdad, and he also studied Greek works that had been translated into Arabic, not to imitate them blindly, but to analyze them critically through the lens of Islamic reasoning. One of the tasks he took upon himself was to provide commentary on Euclid's famous work, The Elements, and he approached it with respect, but also with the confidence of a Muslim scholar who believed that truth could always be understood better, refined, and expanded. His commentary became widely admired because he explained difficult concepts simply, corrected errors that earlier commentators had overlooked, and presented geometric proofs that demonstrated his sharp intellect. But Abū Ja'far was not just a mathematician. He was also deeply involved in astronomy, the science of the heavens, which Muslims valued highly for understanding prayer times, determining the Qibla, organizing calendars, and marveling at the beauty of Allah's universe. At the Bayat court, he was given access to instruments, manuscripts, and the support needed to conduct research, and he took this responsibility seriously, approaching his work as a form of service. He built astronomical devices, refined earlier designs, and even produced a sophisticated description of an instrument known as the astrolabe, which he explained in such detail that his writings became a reference point for later generations. Shockingly complex to most people, the astrolabe was a thing of beauty to him, a device that allowed humans to understand the relationship between Earth and the heavens, almost like a key that unlocked the door to celestial order. His work on calculating the curvature of the Earth and determining its dimensions showed his dedication to precision, and he believed that studying the Earth was not only a scientific task, but also a reflection on Allah's wisdom in shaping a world with balance, symmetry, and purpose. Abū Ja'far's mind was always moving, always exploring. And he continued pushing the boundaries of mathematical thought by exploring algebraic equations and geometric solutions in ways that stood out even among the brilliant scholars of his era. One of his notable contributions involved the solution of cubic equations, which were extremely challenging at the time, and although the full solution of these equations would come centuries later, Abū Ja'far helped lay the groundwork by approaching them through geometric constructions. He believed that the laws of mathematics were reflections of the laws of creation, and to understand them deeply was to appreciate the order that Allah had established in the universe. Despite his brilliance, he remained humble, always giving credit to Allah and to the scholars before him, and he built strong friendships with other scientists who respected him greatly. Among them were Abū Ja'far, who admired his mathematical clarity, and other contemporaries who recognized that Abū Ja'far's commentary on Euclid and work with astronomical tools marked him as one of the most important scientific minds in Khurasan. His reputation reached far beyond Nishapur and Ray. Students traveled long distances just for the chance to sit with him, observe his work, and learn how he approached numbers, shapes, and celestial calculations. Many of these students later became scholars themselves, carrying his methods and teachings across the Islamic world, contributing to the flourishing of knowledge that defined the era. Yet his success did not come without challenges. Some scholars resisted new ideas, preferring old interpretations, but Abū Ja'far navigated such tensions with patience, always focusing on truth rather than argument. He continued to write, refine theories, build instruments, and solve equations until his later years, when age began to slow him. Even then, he continued teaching, sometimes from his home, sitting with younger students under the gentle glow of oil lamps, explaining geometric diagrams with steady hands and a voice that carried wisdom. He often reminded his students that knowledge without faith was like a tree without roots, fragile and easily toppled, and that the student of mathematics should always remember the creator of order and precision. Near the end of his life, he reflected on how knowledge had spread across the Muslim world like light across a horizon, and he thanked Allah for allowing him to be part of that grand story. When Abū Ja'far al-Khāzin passed away around the year 971, he left behind no wealth of gold or silver, but instead a wealth of knowledge, books, instruments, formulas, commentaries, and above all, a legacy of intellectual humility rooted in Islamic ethics. His name continued to live in the hearts of scholars for centuries, proving that the true treasure of a believer is not worldly, but found in the impact one leaves for the sake of Allah. And so his journey reminds us today that the Islamic Golden Age was not built by rulers alone, nor by armies or merchants, but by scholars who believed that understanding the world was a form of worship, and that the pursuit of knowledge was a path toward truth, gratitude, and closeness to Allah. His life encourages Muslims of every generation to open books, explore questions, solve problems, and reflect on creation, for every discovery is a sign, and every sign leads back to the one who created the heavens and the earth with perfect balance. If this story moved you, imagine how many more forgotten Muslim geniuses are waiting to be rediscovered. Subscribe now to help revive our lost heritage. Hit the like button to support Islamic storytelling, and share this video so more people can learn the truth about our intellectual legacy. Turn on notifications so you never miss another inspiring story from Islamic history, because together we will rebuild a generation that honors its roots and reaches for the stars.